Back-to-back sellouts on opening day. We're watching Don Matthews and the Edmonton Eskimos against Wally Buono and the Calgary Stampeders. And you haven't missed much tonight except a little joy on Wally Buono's face when the Stampeders scored the only touchdown of the game. It is 7-0. Stampeders leading the Eskimos with 2:42 to go in the opening quarter. Another punting situation for Edmonton's Sean Fleming. He really booms this one. Coleman for the Stampeders. Old seam opens up and he's to the 25 with a 10-yard return, but there are markers on the field.
Well, the winningest coach in the 90s, Wally Buono, is real happy with his free safety, Greg Freres, number 12, in the middle of your screen right there. This is early in the game. Dan Crowley throws his second interception of the game. First one went to Marvin Coleman. This one to Greg Freres, just an overthrow. He takes it all the way back into the end zone behind the picket fence of the Calgary Blockers, and it was 7-0 Calgary Stampeders. Dan Crowley for Edmonton has struggled offensively. Of course, he got the start at quarterback because Elon Green is out with a knee problem. So Greg Freres is the guy who got Calgary on top.
And you're smiling because a safety has already run one back for a touchdown to kick off year 2000 of the CFL.
Well, as far as I can see it, a safety is leading the scoring race at this point.
That's pretty exciting for a guy like you. Stampeders penalized on the return, so they begin a little deeper in their zone and not much running room for Rock Preston, number 14.
Both offenses haven't had a whole lot of success in this football game so far. Dave Dickinson has also struggled. He's trying to get Calvin Anderson involved. Alan Pitts has not seen the football yet this year. That was his numbers from last week's game in BC. Of course, Calgary Stampeders went 2-0 in the preseason.
Wins over Saskatchewan and British Columbia. The Eskimos were 1-1, beating Saskatchewan and losing to BC. Shotgun on second down. Dickinson fires it out quickly. And that's the newcomer, Mark Boerichter, with his first catch in CFL regular season play. He was quite a story during the preseason with 3 touchdowns in the Stampeders' 2 victories and 199 yards receiving.
Mark Boerichter's a great story. Small college, Hastings College in Nebraska. No one noticed him. He's a big, huge target, but he can flat out run. Wally Buono, you ask him about his rookie, and he just gets a ear-to-ear grin saying, you know what, he's got it all. He's tall, he can run, he's strong, he's tough.
And in the same breath, he doesn't want to build him up too much.
Yeah, that's right. But he wants to be cautious with him.
Absolutely. Ashley and Mobley back for the Eskimos near the Edmonton 50.
Gotcha.
Stampeders on top, 7-0. Low snap, Martino lucky to get it away. It's short. Eskimos were hoping for a penalty on Ashley's return. Just 28 yards on the punt, 0 on the return. When Elon Green went down, Dan Crowley got the call to quarterback the Eskimos. Until now, Crowley has been a backup in his 4 CFL seasons. New Eskimos on offense, flatback Kevs McCorvey, fullback Sean Daniels, and wide receiver Nigel Williams. Up front, Tim Princeton is the only new face. He's alongside Leo Groenwagen, who is playing in his 235th consecutive game here tonight. Starting lineups are brought to you by Midas, your auto service experts.
No yards penalty against the Calgary Stampeders gives Dan Crowley his best field position of the game. Of course, he had the big game last week with 3 touchdown passes in preseason against Saskatchewan.
Net gain of 14 yards for the Eskimos.
You know, that's another way. We talked earlier about how much pressure Dan Crowley's seen in this game early in it, and Calgary Stampeders up front have done a nice job of getting in his face.
Calgary number 56, still first down.
One way to slow down a pass rush, and it's pretty simple actually, is to get your quarterback to change up the snap count. There's Shante Peoples. He's going to jump offside. If you change up your snap count, go on the second hut and the third hut. Sometimes that'll slow down the rush of the opposing defense.
Yeah, and a great start for Shante Peoples, number 56 as a Stampeder. 2 sacks on Dan Crowley in the opening quarter here tonight. Crowley has time this time, and he throws another interception grabbed by Davis. That's 3 tossed up by Crowley when the Eskimos had their best field position of the ball game.
Eddie Davis, starting halfback, came off a knee injury last year, did a real nice job of rehabbing it all off season, worked very, very hard on the knee, and Wally Buono said Eddie Davis in training camp was his nicest surprise. You're never sure when you're coming off a knee injury how a player will respond. Well, Eddie Davis came into camp ready to play and comes up with another big play, the third interception for the Stamps tonight. He's really one of the CFL's best halfbacks, is he not? And overlooked often. You know, I mean, when you're picking all-stars and thing, Eddie Davis is often left off that ballot and shouldn't be.
Dickinson on first down, Calgary on the money at the 35, and Eskimos surround Travis Moore after he made the catch.
Yeah, and there's some more pushing and shoving going on after the fact. The big Chill, Fred Chill, just ran in there, didn't like the way his receiver was being treated.
That's the end of quarter number 1. There's lots more football action from a sold-out McMahon Stadium coming up. Let's send you back to CFL Control.
The CFL live on TSN at the quarter.
Hey folks, welcome to CFL Control. James Duffy with you. Jeez, it's getting crowded in here. A trio of friends for me now. Matt Dunnigan, Chris Schultz are back, and also back a man who learned a valuable lesson last season. Once you get a cushy TV gig, do not give it up. Eric Tillman is back, and we're glad to have him. Eric, what have you thought of this one so far?
Well, I think it's really pretty simple. The Calgary defensive front seven has been dominant. They've controlled the line of scrimmage, and they've collapsed the pocket, and Crowley has had absolutely no chance, Chris.
Eric, I couldn't agree with you more, and they're doing it both ways. They're doing it by individual, one-on-one battles, and they're doing it by scheme. And I got to defer to Matt. Matt, when you have a bad start like this, how do you adjust?
Young quarterback, you got to just give him 3 simple things. Just simply give him a cadence count at the line of scrimmage, mix it up, quick screens, and some picks on the outside. Those 3 things that young quarterback can deal with and start moving the chains.
All right, now one other game in the CFL is already complete tonight. The Als and the Bombers went at it in Montreal, and that impressive Als offense off to a great start. Anthony Calvillo leading them to a 38-22 victory over the Bombers. Calvillo 20 of 28 for 375 yards and those 2 touchdowns. Mike Pringle picking up where he left off last year, 2 touchdowns. A bright note for the Bombers, George Jones, the new running back, a 98-yard TD run and well over 100 yards. Full highlights and analysis at halftime. For now, back to Calgary.
McMahon Stadium is sold out for the season opener for the Calgary Stampeders. 26,000 season ticket subscribers in this city. And when you say the Eskimos are coming, they sell the rest.
Yeah.
Over 38,000 on hand at McMahon tonight.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders organization has done such a nice job over the last few years of building back that fan base, and they're saying that a lot of it has to do with Grey Cup this year, but I think most of it has to do with just how professionally they've approached it over the last few years, and that's the result. Full stands.
I don't think there's any question that this is the best organization in Canadian football. They've done an outstanding job in Calgary and continue to do that. Not only in their public relations areas and all of that, but on the field, because this team finishes first most years when you look back over the 90s. Stamps have a 7-0 lead. Second quarter underway. Nice play-action pass. And Pitts was the target of Dave Dickinson. Didn't miss by much, but solid coverage by the Eskimos secondary.
Well, first of all, Dave Dickinson got outside, and the reason he did is because Malvin Hunter got caught losing containment. When he got outside, that gave him time to throw the football. That's the first step. Here's the back end of the play with good coverage downfield on Alan Pitts.
That's Ralph Staten, one of the new Eskimos in the secondary, one of 3 newcomers back there.
Well, Ralph Staten's got his hands full tonight against one of the all-time best in Alan Pitts, and it's 1-0 Staten.
2nd and 10. Dickinson comes to the other side, and he's picked up. Another safety, Chris Hardy grabs it there. Wow, Dave Dickinson tosses up his first interception of the ball game.
Chris Hardy covered an awful lot of territory to get out there. I mean, he flew to the football. That was just athletic ability. Watch number 8 to the left of your screen. He's right down the middle of the field. When the ball's in the air, he takes off. He didn't come out of his back pedal till that ball was thrown, and then catches it at its high point. The ball was intended for Travis Moore and never found the target. Nice hair. Got the blondes going.
It's a good lid.
Safeties are a little different.
Dan Crowley tries to get away and maybe grabs a yard or two. Make that 4 yards.
That's been the story for Dan Crowley, and it's been because of pressure up front. Joe Fleming, the biggest offseason acquisition for the Calgary Stampeders, leads the defensive line that looks like it is vastly improved from a year ago. Of course, Shante Peoples back in the mix. Alonja Johnson entering his 12th season. Calgary Stampeders middle linebacker. 2 newcomers in the secondary. Anthony Pryor plays in the corner. Marcus Bradley is playing the halfback, replacing Jack Kellogg, who has a hamstring injury and is out for precautionary measures.
2nd and 6, Eskimos. First completion for Crowley, and he'll get a first down. Look at the second completion. Terry Vaughn has it.
Did you hear that sound? That was the piano falling off Crowley's back. He finally got something positive.
First down for the Eskimos is what it is.
That was a large bang. That piano fell right off because it has been a tough start for Dan Crowley. He hasn't had any passing lanes. Not his fault. He just hasn't got the protection up front. 2 for 10 so far, 3 picks.
And 1 went for a touchdown. Taken back 28 yards by Greg Frears. Nice fake by Crowley here. Wide open Vaughn. And another huge gain for the Eskimos. Down inside the 30-yard line before Coleman put the brakes on the run.
Well, I just mentioned passing lanes, and Dan Crowley hasn't been seeing any passing lanes. Well, this is what happens if you give him one. Little play action to Troy Mills. Now, when he turns to pull the trigger, there's a lane right there for Crowley to see it up the middle. And when you got a lane to throw the football, that's what you can do with it. That's the first lane he's had.
Best offensive play of the night for either team. It covered 30 yards. 1st and 10, Stampeders. The Eskimos at the Stampeder 28. This is Troy Mills.
You know, really, John, when you think about the Edmonton Eskimos and their approach right now, they knew coming in with Dan Crowley starting at quarterback that they would have to get good play out of their defense, try and keep the score close until Dan Crowley started to feel his way into this game. Well, Don Matthews has got that. Right now, just a 7-0 game on the interception. His team is finally moving.
And I think the Stampeders have to be worried a little bit because Crowley got off to such a cold start, and they only have that 7-0 advantage. Eskimos looking at 2nd and 6 after Mills picked up 4. Crowley likes to run himself, and he's to the 20-yard line, a little shy of the first down.
Of course, a lot of comparisons during the week and yesterday in the press conference between Dan Crowley and Nealon Green, who was obviously written in as the starter until his knee injury. Crowley's a scrambler. Green is a runner. And that's the difference between the two of them.
But Crowley does have decent speed, and interesting to hear Wally Buono describe him as a Jeff Garcia type quarterback.
Well, he said he watched that game film because there's not a lot of film on Dan Crowley, but he said he watched the game film of the Saskatchewan game. Crowley played well in that one, and said he reminded him a little bit of Garcia. Same number, kind of runs the same style. He's aggressive.
Sean Fleming will try and put the Eskimos on the board. He does. Fleming connects on the first field goal try of the night. And the Eskimos creep a little closer to their arch rivals from southern Alberta. Impressive 6-play drive that covered 51 yards and netted a field goal. Coleman and Rock Preston back for the kickoff. Marvin Coleman. A water bug in there as he breaks loose and gets out to midfield. He's decked at the 55. Good return. Dave Dickinson begins his 2nd season as the Stampeders starting quarterback. He has 2 all-star receivers in Travis Moore and Alan Pitts, and an all-star running back in Kelvin Anderson. The only newcomer is rookie Mark Boerichter. Up front, the line is the same as 99 with Jamie Crysdale right there in the middle.
Fred Childress and Thomas Rayam in that lineup for the whole preseason and training camp, something that didn't happen last year. So Wally Buono and Dave Dickinson especially hoping that that really shores up their offensive line.
Eskimos have the lead, but Dickinson's numbers aren't great so far. Kelvin Anderson carries, and he's across midfield, but there's a penalty marker on the far side.
Well, defensively for the Edmonton Eskimos, one newcomer up front is Albert Reese. Melvin Hunter's moved to the opposite side of the field that he's used to playing and changed numbers. He's number 37 in the lineup. Grant Carter moves to middle linebacker, and Singor Mobley back in the lineup from a tryout with the playing with the Dallas Cowboys. Newcomers in the secondary: Dwayne Provo, Ralph Staten, and Perry Carter. Both Carter and Staten have NFL experience. They had to change that secondary in Edmonton this year because it really struggled last season.
Penalty against the Eskimo defense. Offside. So it's 1st and 5 for the Stampeders here at the 50. 3 receivers to the near side. Dickinson looks in this direction. Right on the money. And Alan Pitts has another catch. Simply the best in Canadian football history, Alan Pitts.
And he should go in that play and just thank the offensive line, because this play works because Dave Dickinson has all day. I mean, he has a coffee. Just watch the guys up front do their job. Look at that, just turning their guys away all the way across the board. Alan Pitts went from the numbers on the short side 45 yards across the field. Dave Dickinson wasn't touched and finally found him on the opposite side of the field. If you got that much time, you're going to find somebody open.
From the Eskimo 31, another Stampeder first down. Dickinson looking more comfortable in there now as he goes to the far side. Ball squirts loose and Torrey Hunter comes up with it for Edmonton.
Well, they're ruling it a catch and then a fumble. Dwayne Provo put the hit outside. I believe it was Travis Moore who took the hit. And Torrey Hunter picks it up. Here's the throw to the outside. Excuse me, it wasn't Moore, it was Cummings. He takes the hit from the outside. There's Dwayne Provo. Ball pops out right there. That is definitely a great call by the official. Good catch. Ball goes to the ground. Torrey Hunter picks it up, and it's Edmonton football. Aubrey Cummings just didn't secure that football. It didn't look like a real hard hit.
No, it didn't. From the 32, first down. Crowley gets another crack at it here. Feeling more comfortable himself. Another marker down back at the line of scrimmage. And Vaughn says he's got enough for the first down, pending the penalty.
Well, right now, that Edmonton offensive line have their hands full with Joe Fleming.
Holding, Edmonton 57. First down repeated.
Dave Ewell in charge of proceedings in his 30th CFL season.
Lee Val St. Germain, who is right here, has to deal with Joe Fleming, and Fleming has been all over him. There it is, Fleming. He gives that rip move underneath with his left hand. That's when you rip the left arm up in there, and Val St. Germain has no choice but to throw him to the ground. Tim Princeton got a holding call on Joe Fleming early in the game, and now it's St. Germain's turn.
1st and 20, the Eskimos push back to the 22. Quick release. Vaughn couldn't hang on.
Well, Crowley's trying to go to the quick game now. He's trying to throw that ball out there in the hitch to Terry Vaughn to try and get the ball out of his hands so that Joe Fleming can't get there in the backfield.
One of the keys to the Eskimo offense this year was supposed to be to get a little help for Terry Vaughn, but obviously he is the most gifted of the Eskimo receivers, so Crowley has gone to him in troublesome situations, to say the least. They've added newcomer Kes McCorvey. We haven't seen much of him. Nigel Williams is new on the outside, far side of the field. And Crowley hasn't gone in his direction often either.
Well, a good call by the Calgary defense. With you get second and a whole bunch, you just send 5, make Dan Crowley throw the football. McCorvey makes his first catch, but well short of the first down.
Two-time all-time All-Star, and he was the all-time, #2 all-time, I should say, at Florida State in receiving yards.
Not a burner, but a route runner, and Donnie Ashley started at slot back for the Edmonton Eskimos last year. Well, Kes McCorvey just simply beat him out this year in training camp.
Fleming has had some pressure, but not this time. Travis Moore returning for Calgary. At about 6 or 7, they'll make it 11 on the return after a 41-yard punt. So Dave Dickinson tries to get this Stampeder offense rolling. Calgary has the lead by 4. Feels like Labor Day. The Eskimos are in town. McMahon is sold out.
as you've mentioned earlier, there is a new face in red and white, and Wally Buono loves him. His name is Mark Boerichter, and he's a rookie receiver from Nebraska. And Wally says he has everything: size, speed, and great hands. As a matter of fact, he recorded 3 touchdowns in preseason. Alan Pitts has nicknamed him Bo, and Bo knows football. And this is just what all the other CFL teams need to see, is another threatening receiver in the Stampeders arsenal. Back to you.
Yeah, when you add in a couple of all-stars like Moore and Pitts, and you've got Vince Danielson, and you've got a running back like Anderson, it's a pretty explosive group.
Well, Mark Boerichter's got to find a way to get open there. After the Robert Brown sack on the last play, Calgary's in a bit of a hole here.
Dickinson in trouble and wrapped up. Mobley is there, and Melvin Hunter too, 27 and 37.
That's why they got Singor Mobley back. Played in Dallas last couple of years, and primarily on special teams for the Cowboys, and then came back to the Edmonton Eskimos organization. He's a big play defender. He just has a nose for the football and makes big plays. He comes off the corner. Second sack in a row for the Edmonton defense, and Calgary's forced to punt. Exactly what Don Matthews wanted. He's getting a good play out of his defense, keep the score close.
Martino on 3rd down. Had a bit of a charge, got it away. Ashley will try and make a play on this. Here's Donnie Ashley returning for Edmonton. And markers are down near the 30-yard line. Both offensives struggling a little bit with 6:47 till halftime. Calgary on top by 4.
Get to a rooftop party. Inside specially marked cases of Coors Light, find a talking can or cap, and you could win a trip for 2 to the party on the Peak with the Matthew Good Band live in Vancouver. The Coors Light talking can and cap. No purchase necessary, must be 19 years of age.
My day starts here, but who knows when it'll end. That's why I use new Speed Stick Ultimate Deodorant. It's formulated to give you antibacterial protection that kills odor for tough 24-hour protection.
It's made for rust, and it's made to last. It's bright and new because it dries so fast. So what's going on?
It's Trim-Clad.
It keeps walls and walkways attractive and neat. It's the perfect paint to cover concrete. So what's going on?
It's Trim-Clad.
To completely revive a great old door, spray on hammered or brilliant silver decor. So what's going on? Fast dry concrete, hammered and metallic. New paints from a trusted old friend. Trim-Clad. It's what's going on.
The most prestigious sporting event in the world comes to TSN this summer. Join us for the games of the 27th Olympiad, Sydney 2000, Canada's Olympic Specialty Network.
Edmonton Eskimos have the ball. Last drive netted 51 yards and a 27-yard field goal for Sean Fleming. And here's the other Fleming on the field tonight.
Big Joe.
Big Joe.
And he's having a big game.
Crowley began 0 for 7. He's now 3 for 12, including a 30-yard connection with Terry Vaughn. So the Eskimo quarterback is a little hotter. As Ed Hervey there out near the 45 as Hervey came back to make the catch.
Looking for big things out of Ed Hervey, no question about it. A guy that was a speed guy primarily last year, and what I mean by that is all he did usually was just run down the field and try and run by people, and that doesn't work very often at the pro level because everyone's fast. And Ed Hervey came back to camp and really worked on his route running, and much more disciplined receiver this year.
Hervey picks up 6, 2nd and 4, Edmonton at the 46. Crowley again. Vaughn again. And we'll see where they spot that one. He got fairly close to the first down area.
Dan Crowley took a pretty big hit after throwing that football from Ray Jacobs. That's been the story for Crowley. If it's not Joe Fleming or Shante Peoples in his face, now Ray Jacobs wants a little bit of the fun. Jacobs was in a battle with Jermaine Miles in training camp here in Calgary. Both veterans to the organization. With Fleming moving inside, Jacobs had to battle for his spot, won the job. Jermaine Miles was released, and he earned it.
First down for the Eskimos. Crowley takes off, flags are down. Dan Crowley fights very close to a first down. He'll have it if the penalty is not against Edmonton.
It's right in that area that offensive linemen don't like to look.
Yeah, they don't like to look back over their shoulder and see that little piece of orange cloth there.
They got to cross their fingers that maybe it might have been offside defense.
And if it's against us, I hope it's against the guy next to me. Right?
Exactly. And I think they're going to get their wish this time. Maybe offside Calgary. And they're going to take a measurement because Crowley wants to see if he's got the first down on the run and then decline the penalty. It looked like it was offside in the middle of the Calgary defense.
Calgary Stampeders would like to wish the best of luck to the Calgary Outriders U16.
Crowley has it by about a foot.
Offside. Calgary 94 is declined. First down.
Jeff Traversy, there's a couple of guilty-looking Stampeder defensive linemen. So Crowley will take the play, decline the penalty, and get that first down.
Crowley's done a nice job the last couple of sequences.
Well, you have to admire his composure because it was shaky start that he's now starting to settle in and complete some passes, move the chains.
Crowley stands in, looks deep this time, and can't hook up with the newcomer, Kez McCorvey. Crowley began 1 for 9.
Well, at that point, he had thrown more to the Calgary Stampeders than he had to his own players. It was 1 for 9. He had a couple of picks early and 1 for a touchdown by Greg Frères. Don Matthews, of course, won't panic on a young quarterback like that and leave him in the game and let him sort of find his way. When you're out there for the first time, well, this is his second start. It looks like bullets flying in front of your face.
Eskimos with 3 receivers to the near side. On second down, Crowley fakes it once. He's got room to go. Good move by Dan Crowley and another first down. Fleming got back to make the tackle, but Crowley really set up the opportunity to run.
Well, there he shows what kind of a scrambler he can be. He's not the runner with the speed of a Nealon Green, but he's a very good scrambler with good feet. I mean, not tremendous speed, but when he gets out in the open field, he can make you miss. And I believe it was Alondra Johnson he made miss for the first down. And a big one for Don Matthews, who's now just down 4 points. In a game, he should be down a lot more.
Absolutely, the way the Eskimos began. But now, at the Stampeder 37, a first down. And here's one more for Mills. In fact, he's gone. 37 yards. Troy Mills. The Eskimos are into the end zone. Great call.
Calgary Stampeders got caught in a blitz. But I believe one of the veterans, Alondra Johnson, he hit the gap, didn't slide over to the outside, caught in the blitz, and Wally Buono tried to gamble a little bit defensively, send some pressure on Crowley. They've had success with it. The Edmonton Eskimos catch him in the blitz, find the open hole, and Troy Mills is off to the races doing the fight song.
37-yard touchdown. The Eskimos have the lead for the first time. And now it's by 3 on Fleming's convert, 10-7. Edmonton has battled back in the first half after a disastrous opening quarter.
There's Johnson right there. Watch how the block goes. Tim Prinson's going to block down. That's where the hole will be created. See, Alondra Johnson is the gap to the wide field. The block at the point of attack by Tim Prinson on Jeff Traversy, and Troy Mills takes advantage of it with great quickness up the middle. Mills had the big season last year when you consider he was injured for most of the season, well, half of the season. Over 1,000 yards in 11 games is pretty impressive.
6 touchdowns, averages almost 6 yards a carry. And that'll help the average a little bit. Nice little 37-yard scamper.
So if you took a look at Dan Crowley's stats for the Edmonton Eskimos and looked at the score, you'd say, wait a minute, what is going on? Exactly what Don Matthews thought would happen coming into this game. He said it many times in the press conference yesterday. Need our defense to play well, keep the game close. Nice drive by Dan Crowley, and that's the kind that'll give him confidence.
70 yards in 7 plays, and the 37-yard run by Troy Mills.
I need a flag on these guys.
Eskimo kickoff. Comes down to Marlon Coleman. And into a pile of Dickinson, 5 of 9, 45 yards. The numbers aren't horrible percentage-wise in one sense, but he really hasn't moved the football team, and he hasn't scored a touchdown.
Well, he hasn't got the ball to Alan Pitts enough, and that's been his problem, I think. I mean, you got the all-time leading receiver in the lineup, and George Cortez, the offense coordinator, wants Dickinson, obviously, to stick with the game plan and go to what Edmonton is giving them, but somehow get the ball to number 18.
Stampeders begin at the 34. Dickinson, shotgun. Time to throw. He has Kelvin Anderson. Anderson turns it on. He'll have a first down and much to spare.
Well, you know, one of the reasons, too, we talked about Alan Pitts getting the football. He's up against a rookie, and you got to think that George Cortez obviously knows that. Ralph Staten, and now when I say rookie to the Canadian Football League, because he has NFL experience with the Baltimore Ravens last year, but this is Pitts, veteran of the Canadian Football League, one of the best ever, if not the best ever, up against the rookie, and right now the rookie has really shut him down. If it's that quiet and Pitts hasn't caught the football, you know you're doing your job, and Dickinson can't find him.
17-yard gain, 1st and 10, Calgary. Dickinson avoided one tackler, and now he's got Travis Moore. Moore stopped short of a first down by about a yard.
A lot of questions this year in the offseason about Dave Dickinson and whether or not he could last an entire season.
It's now time for the
2:48 till halftime. It's the Eskimos on top of the Stampeders on CFL Live. Waiting.
We put Eric Tillman back in there because, you know, the other two were fighting so much, we needed a guy in the middle.
There you go. Dickinson on the money. Big Stampeder first down. Ball squirts loose, but as you said, they needed to get Alan Pitts involved, and they do that right there.
Well, this is why they have to. I mean, Alan Pitts, you know, you can shut him down a little bit, and Ralph Staten has been doing that, but this is Alan Pitts at his best. Stem Staten to the outside. When I mean stem, he just works him so that he has to keep moving outside to the outside of the field, and then when he does, he cuts back in the middle. Ralph Staten, NFL experience, has been holding his own so far, but you know Pitts is going to break free sooner or later.
25 yards for Alan Pitts. First down, Stampeders. Dickinson time, wide open far side. Touchdown, Calgary. Ho-ho! Aubrey Cumming was wide open.
There was some sweet moves in the open field for Aubrey Cummings in his 3rd year with the Calgary Stampeders.
Back-to-back 25-yard plays. And that adds a little life to McMahon this night.
And that's where the quarterback stats are padded. That's where the touchdown pass, that is a real simple throw out to the flat, but it's yak yards. Yards after the catch, and Aubrey Cummings makes it happen when he gets the football in his hands.
Too many weapons when Dickinson has a little bit of time. McLaughlin gives the Stampeders the lead by 3.
Get to a rooftop party. Inside specially marked cases of Coors Light, find a talking can or cap, and you could win a trip for 2 to the party on the Peak with the Matthew Good Band live in Vancouver. The Coors Light talking can and cap. No purchase necessary, must be 19 years of age.
Dave Dickinson is going to make a very simple throw to the outside. Dickinson lets go of the football. He's just looking to pick up first down territory, but Aubrey Cummings has little bigger things on his mind. Couple moves in the open field, one on Torrey Hunter, one on Dwayne Provo, dips his shoulder and then stretches for that end zone on Singor Mobley, and nice yak yards. The open field by the 3rd-year player, Aubrey Cummings.
3rd career touchdown in the CFL for Cummings. 4 plays to cover 76 yards in a minute and a half. Pitt's part of the drive as well. Now, 2:09 to go. Eskimos have the ball. Ashley returning. Squirted across the 30 to about the 33. And we'll see Played well in the second quarter, number 7.
That's a testament to him, too, John. I mean, you think about his first quarter. He comes in the second quarter. He's not rattled by it. Keeps his confidence level high. He's moved the football team in the second quarter. Kept the game close. Got a nice run from Troy Mills, which I wouldn't be surprised to see Edmonton go back to. Now seems to be having some success.
Stampeders lead the Eskimos 14-10 into the final 2 minutes of the opening half, and both teams have come alive offensively lately. Crowley fakes to his right, wide open over the middle, and he couldn't connect. Mark Nora, 22, was there, but Crowley might have rushed that one a little bit when he saw how open he was.
Mark Nora, free agent signing from the BC Lions, played in the fullback position for BC and was really starting to develop into a good fullback. And over here to Edmonton, Don Matthews has lined him up during training camp at the tailback spot. Well, that belongs to Troy Mills, and that's where it's going to stay. So Mark Nora will be a bit of a project for Don Matthews at a different position this year.
Edmonton looking at 2nd and 10. Crowley looking for a target. He's got Bond. Nice catch. And close to the first down yardage necessary.
Well, Terry Vaughn makes this catch look easy, but I can guarantee you that it wasn't. That ball was high and to the outside and had some heat on it, and Terry Vaughn twisted his body backwards to come up with that catch. That is a tough catch.
I don't think he made it look easy. To be really truthful with you.
It was pretty smooth.
It was smooth enough, and he goes up and brings it down, but it didn't look easy to me.
Well, not only that, but he climbs the ladder and gets the first down, and that's the sign of a veteran receiver who not only comes up with a spectacular catch, but has first down yardage while he's doing it. He has 53 yards and is now involved in the offense.
His 30-yard reception set up the field goal for the Eskimos. Stampeders on top by 4. It's 14-10. And Vaughn, a huge part of the Eskimos offense in 1999. Crowley picked out for the 4th time. Marcus Bradley, number 44, has his first CFL interception.
Dan Crowley's upset, and he should be. Kez McCorvey, the slot back that was the intended receiver on the play, quit on his pattern. He came down, broke out of his pattern. I don't believe that he thought he was going to see the football. When he turned around, he's going to be on the left of your screen. When he turns around, he just stops running. Dan Crowley tries to lead him. You see number 85, he just had stopped his feet moving, and that ball just kept moving into the middle. Marcus Bradley comes up with an easy interception.
A minute 30 to go. Stampeders have time to get to the end zone one more time. Beginning at the Eskimo 47 on the 4th interception given up by Crowley. Dickinson stands in and almost gave it right back. A couple of Eskimos had a shot at that, and that should have been a pick.
Well, I believe it was Terry Ray and Grant Carter that were dropping into coverage, and this is something we talked about with Grant Carter. There he is, and there's Terry Ray. They're going to take their drops. Carter's been a rush end his whole career. See how he drops back now. Terry Ray and Carter will both float a football, and it's Ray who gets his hand on it from the backside. Just can't come up with the catch. Carter almost got it on the rebound.
Carter moves in at middle linebacker from a rush end position in 99. Dickinson on 2nd and 10. They have room to roam. First down, Calgary. Dickinson gets inside the 35.
Well, it's a communication thing, and when you're not on the same page completely, you can just miss a couple of freebies, because Alan Pitts working down the field, you see how high the coverage is. Way off him there by Ralph Staten. He had him on the inside, didn't see him.
Do you think a veteran receiver like Alan Pitts would set up a guy like number 38, Ralph Staten?
Yeah, well, he set him up
on his first game in the league. Near side. Cummings couldn't hang on to that one.
Aubrey Cummings dropped that ball as a result of his touchdown. And I'm going to explain that to you, because here's what happened. On the touchdown, he caught it. Same similar pattern. Caught it, turned around, made 3 or 4 good moves in the open field. That time, he thought, I'm going to do this again. But he forgot one thing. He forgot to bring the rock with him. If you don't have the rock, all the moves don't mean anything.
Well put. I understand that. 56 26 seconds till halftime. Cummings with a touchdown on the previous drive. 2nd and 10. Stamps at the Eskimo 35.
Here they come.
Charges on. Dickinson stands in, reads it well. Moore couldn't hang on, but there's a marker down in the Eskimo secondary.
Singor Mobley was coming on the blitz for the Edmonton Eskimos, but it was blocked up well by the offensive line for Calgary.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Edmonton, first down.
I believe it was Grant Carter over the middle. Mobley came on the blitz, and I believe it was Grant Carter that had the illegal contact over the middle of that defense.
The Eskimos fell behind and have battled back to take the lead. Now they're down by 4. And now Calgary threatens again here.
See Carter right there? Carter right there came up. Andre Arlane was coming across the middle and hit him before that ball was in the air.
Stamp set up at the Eskimo 25.
Uh-oh. Pitt.
Out of the quarterback. Pitt throws. Touchdown Dickinson.
Oh, baby.
Love the play. Alan Pitts to Dave Dickinson.
Oh, you gotta love the call. Game 1 of the season. And they got a little rattle stazzle in there.
And there goes Old Blue.
So let's see. Alan Pitts. You know, hundreds of touchdowns, thousands and thousands of yards, more than any other receiver in CFL history. Why not add a touchdown pass?
We'll have to go back and see if he's tossed another one anytime over his wonderful career with the Stampeders through 11 seasons.
I don't remember him doing it. I think that's his first.
David Moyer will check that out for us. That is his very first touchdown pass. Oh, no, we're still checking. McGuanaman adds one more to the Stampeder total.
Just a great play and a great call by George Cortez against a young secondary. Watch this. Here comes Pitts around this way. The little toss, and then Dickinson will sneak down the sideline after the toss. Here it is. Little play action. There's the toss. Now, no one's covering Dickinson. When they go and watch game film, they don't think they have to cover the quarterback downfield. Nice catch, and then dives into the end zone. Alan Pitts has a touchdown throw.
He celebrates his first touchdown reception. And Alan Pitts is joyous over his first ever touchdown toss in Canadian football. 111 touchdowns scored by Alan Pitts.
He is pumped up, and he should be. Great throw. You know what, and this is an inexperienced Edmonton defense, so it's a great idea by George Cortez to put a play like that into your offensive repertoire going into a game like this. First game of the season, haven't seen any film. Got guys playing different positions like Grant Carter. You got new guys in the secondary in Edmonton. You're going to sneak that one by him.
Not much running room out across the 30. Peterson returning for Edmonton. 5 plays, 47 yards.
Oh,
Dickinson,
right.
That's correct, folks.
Yeah, that's
Dickinson.
25.
Quarterback Dickinson, 25-yard reception. Touchdown from Alan Pitts.
Well, they'll have fun with that all year, too.
Oh.
And that's the thing, is that now, you know, it's going to be the joke throughout the whole year. If Dickinson throws a bad one to Pitts anywhere along the line, he'll say, hey, you want me to go do it for you? I can show you how it's done.
I bet you the adrenaline was really pumping through Pitts there because he knew he had his target open.
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I going to do? I can't overthrow it. I can't underthrow it. And you just have to make sure you're on the money.
Well, the other thing is that Alan Pitts wears gloves. You know, and he took that ball with the gloves on. And
Offside. Calgary number 56. Still first down.
Time ticks down on the Eskimos, trailing by 11 now, 21-10. Back-to-back touchdowns for the Stampeders, who have come back to take this lead.
a bit of a wake-up call when Troy Mills ran that one in for Edmonton. I think it really woke up the Calgary offense because they've come back hard. Aubrey Cummings with a touchdown, and then Alan Pitts with that throw.
Two great touchdowns by the Stampeders last couple of minutes. Time running down, and here's Mills rambling again. Forced out by Alondra Johnson. 31 seconds to go. So there's still a little life in the Eskimos before the half here.
Exactly, and Dan Crowley's got to get him out on the line and get that hurry-up offense because he's still got probably 5 to 6 plays that he can run in 30 seconds if he runs them efficiently. And they can move into field goal range if they can move the ball down the field and maybe take a little of that momentum from Calgary.
Yeah, 3 here would be very handy to the Eskimos without question. Crowley, slight delay to Mills, read well by the Stampeder defense. A couple of yards to gain.
Well, based on that play, it looks like they may be content to just sort of run it in and end the half, but
can you fake that this time and throw?
Well, that's part of the process. I mean, it's part of the whole chain of plays in that series. And give it to Mills a couple times, then run play action, try and hold the linebackers and throw it in behind him. Mills is having a decent night, but they're going to need more if they're going to try and get a field goal with just 17 seconds left.
Mills has the Eskimos' lone touchdown. And he has the football again with 6 seconds left, so they seem content on just heading in and regrouping with an 11-point deficit to recover from.
But now they have to either punt the football or gamble with 6 seconds left and hope they can kill that 6 seconds. Don Matthews will talk about it right now, what he wants to do, and looks like he may send in the punting team.
Stampeders have called a timeout here.
What the problem here is for Don Matthews, and what I think he's considering, is that if he kicks the ball, you're just basically giving Calgary one attempt to run a return. What he'll ask Sean Fleming to likely do is hopefully the clock for them will run down. He can punt the ball with zeros on the clock and then get it out of bounds. End the half and go into the locker room and regroup. Now, if Marvin Coleman gets his hands on it.
Always dangerous, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Should be the final play of the opening half. Fleming can't get it to the sideline. And Coleman does have his hands on the ball, but it's well covered. The return by the Eskimos. So the Stampeders, with 2 outstanding touchdowns in the dying moments of the opening half, have taken a 21-10 lead on the Eskimos.
The CFL live on TSN at the half.
All right, James Duffy back with the most dynamic trio since Bananarama, Tillman, Dunnigan, and Schultz. And I tell you, Dickinson to Pitts, we expect. Pitts to Dickinson is out there. We knew the Stamps were good at finding quarterbacks, but this is absolutely ridiculous. That was impressive, Chris.
That was very unusual for Wally Buono to have that type of football. I mean, you rarely see trick plays from a coach who really bases everything on structure. But this all started early in the game. Total line of scrimmage dominance. Defensively, especially for Calgary, they won the one-on-one battles. They had a blitz package, and they ended the half well. But I got to ask Matt, what do you say to a Dan Crowley at halftime?
They got after him. They got after him big time. You set him down in the locker room, and you simply put your hands on his shoulder pad and say, son, relax. It wasn't all your fault. Hey, those 4 picks, we'll go back, we'll correct those later. Let's think about the second half. Let's continue to utilize the talent around us. Let's run the draws, the screens, the quick hitters, get some rhythmic things going on offense to start the offense flowing, because they're going to need it because Calgary's coming on strong.
Well, I thought the first 25 minutes the Edmonton defense played pretty well, but then Calgary responded when it counted. They got a turnover, they had the big drive, they showed the championship qualities that got them there last year. It's early, but you have to like what you saw of Calgary in the last 2 or 3 minutes, James.
And folks, we know you missed most of the first quarter. Believe me, you saw the better quarter. The second quarter providing all of the offense in this one. It was the defense that got it going for the Stamps. Frere was there, and he took it all the way back and got the Stamps rolling. They lead it 21-10. Lots more ahead.
There are
Episode 2 of the Tim Hortons CFL All-Star Challenge. Mike Pringle featured in the dinghy race. It's like our own version of Survivor. Next week, Mike O'Shea eats rats on the Tim Hortons CFL All-Star Challenge. Well, there was one other game earlier on tonight, and, you know, there's no more ham in Montreal, but the Alouettes plate is still full of tasty talent. Anthony Calvillo officially took over for Tracy Ham tonight, and he, of course, had a quarterback's best friend in running back Mike Pringle. Al's hosting the Bombers in their season opener at a sold-out Molson Stadium, 19,461. First series, Pringle 3rd and goal. Is he in? One official says yes, one says no. Take a look at it for yourself. Ref says touchdown. Is he in, guys?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. It is unanimous. 7-0 Als. 8-0 Montreal as the ref confirms it. Bombers would strike. George Jones, a fine country singer, a fine running back, off 98 yards for the former Steelers.
Hey, James, speed, and more speed. George Jones outrun the whole Montreal secondary.
Reviving the Bombers' running game. 8-7 after one quarter. Now, just before the half, Pringle off the left side, 14 yards.
Not to be outdone, he's showing us his lateral movement. He takes it in for the score. Great lateral movement.
Second of the game for Pringle, 15-13 Montreal. They would put it away in the third quarter. From the 2-yard line, Calvillo, Jacques Limey, touchdown, and Als rolled in the second half. An easy victory over the Bombers, 38-22. Anthony Calvillo, huge night in his first official start of the season. 20 for 28, 375. Pringle was typical, 2 touchdowns. 17 straight points between the late second and late third quarters was the difference in this one. And Eric, Anthony Calvillo's first test, and he gets an A+.
Yeah, no question. It was a great start for Anthony Calvillo. He showed poise all night. He made good decisions, as evidenced by the fact, as you said, he threw for 375 yards. Yes, it's still early, but there were some significant questions about the quarterback situation in Montreal. And after the way he played tonight, I think those have certainly been eased, Matt.
Oh, it was a fantastic win for Montreal, and a must-win for those people in their home. It's a divisional game, so that's a 4-point game. Not a 2-point game, but a 4-point game. They had to win at home. All the pressure was on them. A lot of hype with Winnipeg coming in, Alfred Payton coming back, playing against his old teammates. They weathered the storm and showed that they're going to be a powerhouse in the East, Chris.
And really not that bad for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, because they did have a block punt. They had 5 Troy West field goals, which means 5 times they were positioned to score points. And George Jones, over 150 yards, rushing the football, a big 98-yard run. I saw some things that Winnipeg can build on, James.
Yeah, he looked really, really good. And we thank you, of course, for watching us, but we also want to get out and see some games live. The ticket numbers forthcoming. Jot them down and go out and see a game.
There are differing opinions on what exactly it means to be Canadian. But the classic definition is as follows. To be Canadian, you must be clean, cold, and crisp.
So I finally get to see your place.
Yeah, this is it.
It's interesting.
Hey, you want to go out for pizza?
Can't they deliver?
TSN.ca/CFL for the premier CFL website. Latest scores, standings, headlines, plus our multimedia section includes our up-close and sounds of the game features, plus weekly columns from our analysts. Didn't even know they could write. And our picks, all of our picks on each of the games. Well, Wally Buono's offense got off to a shaky start, but a very solid finish thanks to some major razzle-dazzle. Sherry Hargrave spoke with the Stampeders coach.
Coach, you've just shocked the country by that play. Tell me about that touchdown.
Well, that's something that we worked on, and actually in practice, I don't think we ever completed it. So Al threw a nice ball, and it was a nice play. Like I said, that works probably just once in a season.
4 interceptions on defense. Tell me about your day.
Well, again, our guys are doing a good job, changing up the coverages, and we're trying to make it as tough on Crowley as we can.
Going to have any more secret moves out there in the second half?
That's what the second half's all about.
Thanks, Coach.
Are you ready for this?
A wry smile from Wally Buono. 150 yards passing, most of those coming late in the second quarter. And you see those 4 turnovers, all of them interceptions, although the last one wasn't Dan Crowley's fault. How does Edmonton stay in it, Eric?
Well, what you alluded to, they have to avoid turnovers. You can't have 4 turnovers and a half and expect to win. Seriously, with a young quarterback, though, I think Edmonton has to win this battle in special teams. They didn't do it in the first half. If they play well in the second team in the second half in that area, they've got a chance. But without a young quarterback, it's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, and we heard Wally say there, Eric, that it's very important for them to continue to mix it up, make Dan Crowley be a quarterback. It's tough working from a deficit, let alone a 0-0 tie. But Chris, I think he's absolutely right. There's a fine line there between pressuring a quarterback and then letting off and give him a chance of getting a rhythm.
It's a huge judgment call, it really is. And even if, worst case scenario, Calgary scores and it's 28-7, you got to mix it up and you still have to play your whole package. Because right now, the defensive line of the Calgary Stampeders is better than it's ever been, and that's going to be the big issue as this game progresses, James.
Edmonton got right back in it, but 2 late touchdowns by the Stampeders have them in control, as probably expected by most. 21-10 is your score on this one. We saw the razzle-dazzle pitch to Dickinson. Also a fine play from Mr. Cummings. All sorts of moves, and he's in. Second half coming up. Stamps ahead.
Tough first half for Dan Crowley with 4 interceptions. Sherry Hargrave is down on the sidelines with the Eskimo head coach.
Coach Crowley looked a little shaky out there in the first half, throwing up 4 interceptions. Your thoughts on your quarterback?
Yeah, he really had a difficult time. We had some guys open and we missed him, and he threw some interceptions that he shouldn't have. But hopefully he's going to settle down, and we're going to go with him in the second half.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Crowley, 7 of 19 for 72 yards and the aforementioned 4 interceptions. He had it going for a while after a real shaky start, and then threw another late interception.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Don Matthews talked about that he's going to go with him in the second half. Now, he's now in that fine line where he doesn't want to damage Dan Crowley's confidence, and yet, obviously, the game is very important, and he may want to go with Jason Maas down the line. That's the guy in the bullpen, the backup, because Nealon Green is out. Dan Crowley's going to be the guy for the next 3, maybe 4, 5 weeks. They said that Nealon Green's knee is going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. It may be longer that he's out, so you don't want to damage his confidence by pulling him too soon.
Stampeders have the lead at 21-10 as Mark McLaughlin gets set to kick off. McLaughlin came into the game with a bruised left calf muscle, but it hasn't appeared to affect him too much here tonight so far. Donnie Ashley gets the second half underway for the Eskimos with a nice return. Swings it to the outside and has room over there, but flags come down. A couple of them, in fact, as Ashley is forced out near the Calgary 45.
Justin Ring, I believe, is going to get called on a holding on the outside against Andre Arlane. It was the containment. Arlane had contained to the wide field, and when Donnie Ashley bounced it outside, Justin Ring held his block just a little bit too long.
Edmonton 36, first down.
It would have been a 50-yard return for Ashley. It goes for naught. So the Eskimos begin back at the 25.
That's the rule that I would change. That just seems like too much of a penalty. you lose the yardage gain plus the yardage on the penalty.
Crowley shotgun. Good play action fake, and he has a first down out across the 35-yard line. Kez McCorvey made the reception.
Well, they started their drives for both teams basically in the same part of the field. But that's average gain on first down is a huge difference. Calgary almost 10 yards on first down. That changes your game plan a little bit when you can have that kind of production.
Shotgun again, and this time he hands off to Troy Mills.
And that goes back to that guy, Troy Mills, and the importance of him in this offense. We mentioned it early in the game that they needed to keep him involved, and even though you're down by 11 points, still important to establish Troy Mills. You got to have production on first down and make those linebackers respect that he may take the football. He's putting together what should turn into be a 100-yard night.
Including that 37-yard touchdown. The Eskimos' only major thus far. Second and a bunch for Edmonton. Crowley puts it up, and he missed everybody. Vaughn seemed to be the closest Eskimo.
You mentioned Don Matthews at halftime talking about Crowley missing some open receivers. Terry Vaughn had run the curl in front of Eric Sutton and was wide open. Just an overthrow by Dan Crowley. telling there is just, you know, just lower that one a little bit, throw it in there. We had him open.
Marvin Coleman deep for the Stampeders. Sean Fleming set to kick for the Eskimos. He gets it deep down near the 28. Rebel. Travis Moore had nowhere to go on the return. A gain of 2, 50-yard punt. Dickinson heads onto the field. Paul Don, a coach at the University of Idaho. Wally, a player at Idaho State a long time ago. Wally won the first meeting between these two in the CFL in 1977 when the Owls beat the Eskimos badly in the Ice Bowl in Montreal.
There's the all-time wins list. Don Matthews, of course, leads the way, 163. Wally Buono, the winningest coach in the 90s. Ron Lancaster right behind there.
And he'll move ahead of Ray Yock. Wally Buono will, if he can hang on to the lead he's got and post a victory here tonight.
You think about these two coaches, they're also tied for first place finishes in their career. Wally Buono 7 with the Calgary Stampeders, and Don Matthews 7 first place finishes with a bunch of different teams. He of course coached 5 different teams in the CFL, and what I think is the most amazing thing in Don Matthews' career is in the 20 years he's been a head coach, 19 of them his team has made the playoffs. Last year was the only year.
They made the playoffs, but they were sub 500 season last year, these Eskimos, coached by Matthews. Dickinson has some time and some room, and Travis Moore let it slip through his fingers.
Couple of drops by the Calgary Stampeders. Aubrey Cummings dropped one. This is the second from Travis Moore, and he was wide open over the middle in front of safety Chris Hardy. He'll go back to him, though. He'll go right back to Travis Moore in the next series, I'm sure.
Stampeders will kick it away. Low snap to Martino. No problem.
Here we go.
Mobley returning for the Eskimos. Nice hole opens up for Mobley. He's got one blocker out in front, and he's tracked down from behind at the 30-yard line. A return of 41. The punt traveled 42. Mobley sets the Eskimos up in great field position.
There are two brothers playing in this football game. They happen to be playing on opposite teams. Here's the big block, Justin Ring on the younger bro, Kent Ring, and it's the key block that springs the run by Singor Mobley to the outside. Big brother showing little brother a thing or two on the special teams. Justin Ring, the big block on Kent.
Yeah, no more pillow fights for these guys. Mother Phyllis is watching back home at BC and likely a little bit worried about the younger Kent Ring in his CFL debut here tonight. Crowley has the Eskimos in great field position on first down. He has a completion. Corby makes the catch. That's Kez McCorvey.
They battled as kids, obviously, the two brothers. Both went to Simon Fraser University and great careers there. Kent Ring and Justin Ring. Exactly the same size athletes. Kent Ring, the newcomer, the rookie, cracking the Calgary Stampeders lineup, and that would be one that Justin Ring clips out of the game film and says, I got to keep this one and show it at the family reunion.
Crowley. And it tipped. McCorvey was the intended target, or at least the closest Eskimo receiver to it. So it slips to third down.
Well, production on second down, and that's where Crowley has fallen off. I mean, he's been in a lot of second and long situations. We saw the graphic earlier where the Edmonton Eskimos were about 5 yards on first down. That's generally not enough. I mean, Dan Crowley, everyone in the park knows he's got to drop back and pass. They've been getting some good pressure, and he's just had some trouble converting on second down.
Sean Fleming, perfect so far. His first from the 27. This will be spotted on the 34. Smooth stroke. Fleming on the money as the Eskimos creep a little bit closer at 21-13 now.
Last year, Sean Fleming with 53% of his field goals made. Wouldn't be one of the best years in his mind, I don't think. And I think if you asked Sean Fleming, he said he can kick a lot better than 53%. But best year was the year before that in 98, and that's where he was up around 85%, and that's where Don Matthews hopes he gets to again. And valuable 3 points. There's lots of time left. No need to gamble on third down in that situation, and take the points when you can get them.
Dave Dickinson and the Stampeders take over at the 35 after the Edmonton field goal. A little noisy at McMahon. Dickinson to his right. No one home, and he threw it out.
That's what Wally Buono wants Dave Dickinson to do, and we've talked about it most of the game. Wally Buono coming in, his #1 priority was better play out of the O-line, but part of it is the quarterback's responsibility. Throwing that football away, getting rid of it, and don't take the hit if you don't have to. There was no one open downfield for Dave Dickinson. Made the right decision, and more importantly, saved one hit. That's one less hit that Dave Dickinson has to take in the season.
2nd and 10, Stampeders leading 21-13. Calgary at the 35. Looks like a procedure call against Calgary that time.
Illegal procedure, Calgary 68.
It's Big Fred Childress. Glenn, he is not the biggest offensive lineman in Calgary this year. He's 6'4", 333. Dave Heisman, who signs on with Calgary as the 6th offensive lineman, is 6'5", 335. So Fred has lost the heavyweight title.
Oh boy,
among the O-linemen.
Still the big chill, and we haven't talked about Doug Peterson once, so he's doing his job.
Second and a bunch. Little swing pass for Kelvin Anderson. Turns the corner, head down. He'll get back to the original line of scrimmage, and the Stampeders will get set to kick it away.
Old Mo seems to be going a little bit back towards the Edmonton sideline. It's amazing. It might have just been a field goal, but you think of the Singor Mobley run, sets up the field goal. Now they got 3 points, and look at them. Torrey Hunter starting to dance a little bit, starting to feel it, starting to feel a little bit better about themselves. They come out, get a good stop on that Calgary offense. Now they're going to get the football back again. You start to feel that old Mo shift over sideline.
Yeah, and the Eskimos will have decent field position with any kind of a return. It's up. Ashley calls for it. And he's mowed down from behind. Dan Crowley has a 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. After a real slow start, Troy Mills got the Edmonton Eskimos right back in the ballgame with a superb run.
Well, he's been the bright spot for the Edmonton offense because he just gets it done no matter what the score is. That was early in the game, kept the Edmonton Eskimos close at that point. In fact, gave them the lead right there, and Troy Mills is working on a 100-yard game right now.
Eskimos 1st and 10. Crowley shotgun. Has a man open, and he just missed him. Nigel Williams was the intended receiver.
Well, Nigel Williams does his part, because Nigel Williams, who Don Matthews hopes will take some pressure off of Terry Vaughn, runs a corner pattern down to the inside, then back to the out to the sideline, and Crowley, once again, he's had problems with it all night. He's overthrowing the football. I mean, look at this separation right here by Nigel Williams. That's good separation. That's what you want from the defensive back. Lots of room to throw that ball in there, and just not on target for Crowley.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Crowley over the middle, intercepted. The 5th time he's tossed one up tonight. And the Stampeders have position near the 35. Greg Freres had a touchdown earlier, and that's interception number 2 for the Stampeders safety.
And Dan Crowley got hammered right at the end of the play. Greg Freres with the interception. Another overthrow by Crowley. Freres right at the top of your screen. Again, overthrow by Crowley. Looks like he's taking a big stride forward. That ball is just sailing on him. Freres gets easy interception right at the end of the play. I believe it was Mark Pilon that just crushes Crowley. Watch this right at the end of the play. Crowley's just upset, and bow, he gets popped under the chin by Mark Pilon. I think he's going to get a penalty, but Crowley's going to have to shake that one off.
Marching it off against the Stampeders here now. Back near midfield.
Couple for Greg Freres and a touchdown.
And that was a great 28-yard touchdown for Freres.
Off to a good start. 3 interceptions in 99. He's might beat that in this game.
1st and 10, Stampeders beginning at the 53 after the turnover. 8:26 left, 3rd quarter. Kelvin Anderson.
John, we got to go back to this hit on Dan Crowley because I know he's feeling it, and if you don't believe me, listen to this. Whoa, vicious. And to make matters worse, he had just undone his chin strap. You don't want to undo your chin strap till you're over on the sideline. That's pretty much the only place you want to take that chin strap off.
Stampeders are winning the turnover battle everywhere. With 14 points on the Eskimo offering so far. Here's Alan Pitts. In behind the coverage, but Dickinson couldn't hook up, and Dickinson hit the turf too.
Well, an interesting little move at the end there by Alan Pitts. A little bit of an overthrow by Dickinson, but I love the veteran move by Pitts with the little push-off on Ralph Staten.
And with that touchdown pass by Alan Pitts to Dave Dickinson, Pitts moves within 332 of the all-time touchdown passers in Canadian football. He has 332 touchdown passes behind Ron Lancaster.
I loved when they said they were practicing it all week, and they never completed it once against air in practice.
Good punt, and the Eskimos are pinned deep inside the 5-yard line as Ashley is wrapped up. 1st and 10 for Crowley when we return. Back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, 7:07 to play, 3rd quarter. Stampeders have the Eskimos pinned deep and lead it 21-13. It'll be 2nd and 7 for Edmonton after a short gain by Mills. Out to about the 5. Crowley has time. No one home. And that looked like a miscue between the new receivers down there.
Kes McCorvey ran it out, and Crowley looked like he was throwing it to the curl. The curl is kind of an inside pattern, and he just hasn't been on target to start this 2nd half, and now the pressure continues to mount as you get later in the game. You're backed up on your own goal line, and you're completing 9 of 26, and yeah.
One of those went for a touchdown.
So let me get that straight. You completed 9 passes, 5 interceptions. More than half of the caught passes that you've thrown have gone to the other team.
Eskimos will be giving the Calgary Stampeders field position unless Fleming surrenders here. And he does. So the Eskimos give the Stampeders a couple more for a 10-point advantage now.
Well, it was an 8-point difference. You give them 2 more. I mean, 8 points, you got to think you're a field goal and touchdown anyway.
2 scores.
That's right. You're 2 scores, so you give them up the safety. You get some of that field position back, and you're still 2 scores.
Yeah, for the tie, though, at this point, right? Or at least field goal.
Yeah, now it's a tie.
Touchdown for a tie.
I think Don Matthews just over there telling him you just got to get that ball down. It's as simple as that. It's really just mechanical right now for Dan Crowley more than anything. I mean, his feet look fairly planted. He may be striding a bit high, but it's just mechanical in his throwing motion. He's overthrowing targets, and he's having open receivers. They're out there. I mean, Don Matthews' next choice is Jason Maas of the University of Oregon. He's in the bullpen.
0 CFL experience.
He's a raw rookie. He came from Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens signed as a free agent last year. So, you know, that's his next choice. But he's got to do something. You know, and then Dan Crowley is starting to get to a point in the game where he's getting out of the Troy Mills part. He can't use Mills. Gets later in the game.
Eskimo kickoff return by Rock Preston for the Stampeders. Out to the 32, 14 yards on the return after a 57-yard kickoff.
Well, I know one play that's going to make the highlight reel tonight.
Coast to coast, without question.
Alan Pitts, little pitch pass back to Dickinson. Didn't work in practice over and over and over again, but that one was laid right in there. And you mentioned it during the play that when Dickinson is that wide open, you got to think that Alan Pitts is like, oh man, just get it to him. Just get it out there. He threw a perfect pass.
When I used to watch the Blue Bombers with my mother in Winnipeg Stadium, Kenny Plain and Leo Lewis used to pull off that particular play. That was back in the late 50s, early 60s. Dickinson, wide open is Travis Moore. Nice catch. He's out near the 50. Moore dropped a couple earlier, or at least one that he should have made. And this one, no mistake about it, Dickinson is right on the money.
And I mentioned that Dickinson would go back to Travis Moore, who had a breakout season last year. His first 1,000-yard season was a all-Canadian at the position, wide receiver. Runs a nice quarter pattern on the rookie, Perry Carter, playing in his first game. Rookie as a Canadian Football League player. He played in Oakland last year, but Travis Moore turned him around on that play. 1,000 yards last year, the first time he ever did it.
28 yards the pickup for the Stampeders. They're set at the 50. Dickinson with time over the middle. There's Alan Pitts again.
And that's the difference in the two quarterbacks right now, the precision in the passing game. I mean, Dave Dickinson back-to-back plays, hits over the middle on that play. The previous one, it was Travis Moore in the corner, but Dave Dickinson doesn't have much room to throw this football in. I mean, and you know, Crowley has been overthrowing the ball, but look at the room. Dave Dickinson throws it in there. That's not a lot of room. 3 defenders all around Alan Pitts, but he puts it right on the spot.
And that's the rookie Staten over to make the tackle on Pitts, so presumably he was in the coverage zone. For Kelvin Anderson, big hole opens up for the all-star running back, and he's close to another Calgary first down.
Well, we talked about the Big Chill losing a little bit of that weight and not the heavyweight title anymore, but he just made a nice block to spring Kelvin Anderson, and he did it on Carter. There's Carter. Now just follow his path. As Carter drops out of there, he kind of gets in no man's land. He's not deep in pass coverage, and he's not up there in the line of scrimmage. And watch the Big Chill just blow him out of there. Then he's too far and too deep. Kelvin Anderson gets to the outside.
Anderson comes up a yard shy. This will be 2nd and 1. Anderson again. And it'll be close. Hard to get across the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and this is where George Cortez is going to just keep the ball in Kelvin Anderson's hands. Now you got a little bit of lead. The clock starts to wind down, and you try and just keep your running back involved and use up as much time per play as you can.
Stampeder offense started a little bit slowly in the opening quarter. George Cortez got things worked around shortly after that.
But you think about what he did last year with 3 different quarterbacks in the lineup, because he lost Dickinson, lost Henry Burris to a knee injury. He had to go with his 3rd quarterback and still got to the Grey Cup game.
Lost Jeff Garcia to the 49ers, too. It is a Calgary first down at the Eskimo 20.
Here they come.
Blitz was on. The newcomer, Bo Richter. Touchdown. Mark Bo Richter has his first regular season touchdown for the Calgary Stampeders.
And this is what gets Wally Buono so excited about this guy, is that what he does after he catches the football.
Flags all over the field, Glenn, but I believe it was after the play. They're all right down on the goal line there. And there's Old Blue, a 4-year veteran of the Calgary Stampeders, ridden by Karen Drake.
Now, the Calgary Stampeders have some horses in the lineup, don't they?
They do. Lots of horses.
There's one of them. Mark Bo Richter, the newcomer, the rookie. Good speed and a good burst after he caught the football. It's like he has another speed that kicks in, and it's hard when you're a guy that big as a defender. You look at him, think he's going to be slow.
Unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 50. Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 4.
Jay McNeil and Torrey Hunter were in a pillow fight after the fact, but Bo Richter makes the play. Had that great preseason, 3 touchdowns during the preseason, and really made it an easy decision for Wally Buono to put him in the lineup.
Mark McLaughlin now for Calgary's 30th points on opening night. Now a 17-point lead for the Stampeders. Bo Richter. Wally Buono was excited about this guy. He's 6'5", he's got hands, as you'll see. He's got speed, he's got it all. He's also got his first CFL touchdown.
And you know what I loved about that? You see the 11-year vet. Watch this guy right here. 11-year veteran. He's not just pass catcher. Alan Pitts does what he has to win games. And he makes a key block on the screen pass to Bo Richter to spring him into the end zone. So he throws touchdowns, he catches them, and he makes key blocks too. Whatever you need from Alan Pitts, he'll deliver.
And if you add this guy to a talented core of Calgary receivers, it's got to give any team in Canadian football a bit of a scare. Eskimos with 3 newcomers in their secondary coming into this one tonight. All have experience, but all are relatively new to their positions, although Dwayne Provo rejoins the team, but he's in a different position than the last time he played for the Eskimos. 5 plays, 78 yards. Mark Rider has the 20-yard touchdown catch. Travis Moore, same drive for 28. Stampeders kick it off. Donnie Ashley inside his 10. And he's wrapped up quickly by Eddie Davis, number 29. 22 on the return after a 66-yard kickoff, and the Eskimos have gone to the bench. Dan Crowley looks like he's finished for the night. Jason Maas comes in.
University of Oregon. Jason Maas has not thrown a pass in the Canadian Football League. But when you think about Dan Crowley's night, maybe it's time he did.
5 interceptions. Calgary team record for interceptions in a game is 6. And Haas is on the money for Hervey on his first toss. Talking of quarterbacks, once a Stampeder, always a Stampeder fan. Here's Jeff Garcia, starting quarterback for the San Francisco Giants, or San Francisco 49ers. Giants.
I could hit a home run every now and then.
Anyway.
Covey Bay.
Yeah, you're back just to have a look at the old team?
Oh, definitely. It's always fun to come up and visit Calgary. A lot of great friends that I still have up here, and definitely come watch the home opener. It's great to be up here.
You want to call a couple of plays with us? Stand in here, Jeff Garcia.
Sure, definitely.
So what do you think of this offense so far, Jeff? I mean, Dave Dickinson really picked it up in the second half.
Well, yeah, a little bit of a struggle in the first half. Just weren't clicking as well as I think he'd like to see things go, but definitely picking it up in this third quarter.
Hate to ask you this, but how many touchdown receptions do you have in Canadian football?
You know, I'm going to get on George Cortez about that. And actually, I razzed him earlier today. I came out and I threw on the turf, and I said, hey, George, you going to pull some tricks out of your hat tonight? And he goes, maybe. We'll just have to see. And you know, that was the one. I was begging for that play every single week last year.
You had it in?
2 years ago. No, we never had it in. I wanted it in.
It was never part of the plan, is what you're saying.
They just
never let you call it.
And I'm an athlete.
As compared to Dickinson, is that what you're saying here?
No, nothing.
We got that little subtlety.
Joking.
Yeah, I know that, and you obviously taught him most of everything he knows out here when he apprenticed under you in '98.
Well, he had a couple years where we were together, and he's a very smart guy, very smart quarterback, makes good decisions, and has definitely proved that he can do a great job in this league and be one of the top quarterbacks in this league.
Speaking of proving that, you got a great opportunity in San Francisco this year, Jeff.
It's just an awesome opportunity for myself. Returning home, I grew up basically an hour from San Francisco, and just a situation where now I'm the starting guy for a team I dreamt of playing for, and you know, Steve had a great career, and it was time for him to think about some other things, and now it opens the door for me, and after having a year under my belt, it's a much better situation for me going into this year. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you should be. Second down for the Eskimos with Jason Maas in at quarterback. I don't know if you've had a chance to have a little peek at Maas, but we don't know very much about him. We've spotted him out there.
We're learning as we go.
We certainly
the
are.
first pass was nice.
Well, I was going to ask you about Dan Crowley's game. I mean, he seemed to be overthrowing passes all game long, had a couple of open receivers. What did you see? It looked like something mechanical that he was doing.
Well, I don't know if he got to a point where he was getting a bit antsy in the pocket, looking to run more so than going through his normal progression. A couple times he hit DBs right in the chest, cutting underneath receivers, and that's tough.
Here's interception number 6. Gift touchdown, Shante Peoples.
Shante Peoples.
Oh boy, when it rains it pours. There they go.
6 interceptions tossed up like Eskimo quarterbacks tonight. This one a little bit different because Maas was hit and it popped loose for Shante Peoples.
Now, Jeff, you know what this feels like as a quarterback? Not much you can do there when you're getting belted in the back by Raymond Biggs.
That shouldn't count against a quarterback in the stats.
It really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. We like to not count those in the stats. But, you know, I mean, he's looking for protection on the edge and looking to half roll and set up, and Shante just beat the guy off the corner, and there's nothing he could do about that. That's a difficult situation to deal with right there.
You take the hit, you turn around, look up the turf, and there's the guy running in the end zone the other way.
Disappointing.
Jeff,
great for Calgary.
Yeah, quick thought, because we've got to let you go here, but about the '98 Grey Cup victory, still a vivid memory in your mind, I'm sure.
Oh, one of the greatest memories that I've ever been a part of, as far as experiences go. It'll always be a great memory. Definitely wearing the ring proudly and having fun.
Good luck in San Francisco this year. We'll be watching you all season long.
You got a whole bunch of fans up here in Canada cheering for you down there in San Francisco. Good luck with it, Jeff.
I appreciate the support.
Stampeders on a nice roll, another touchdown on the interception. Shante Peoples takes it all the way. And 20 seconds remain. In the third quarter, Calgary has exploded in the second half.
Biggs comes off the corner in that play. He gets Maas right in the back. Not his fault, like you heard Jeff Garcia say, and he would know. He's been in that exact situation before. Get hit in the back, ball pops up. Shante Peoples with the nice stride into the end zone and gets to enjoy that run. You know, usually you're just in there, you don't even know what happened, but Shante Peoples got to enjoy that one.
Not quite a sellout at McMahon Stadium tonight, but they came close. 34,383 Stampeder fans. Well, a few Eskimo fans out there, I'm sure, too. On hand here at McMahon Stadium, a perfect night to kick off CFL 2000 in Calgary.
Good, this is good.
Stampeders kick it off after the touchdown. Ashley returns for the Eskimos. And finally it opens up. Ashley out across the 40 to about the 43-yard line.
Out to the 43-yard line.
Jason Maas has replaced Dan Crowley. And he's had 1 interception to add to that Eskimo total, bringing it to 6 tonight. Crowley will try and hang on to the clipboard for a while.
He goes back to the drawing board is what he does. Dan Crowley came into the game with a lot of confidence. Now you got to wonder what he comes out of the game with, because he had a good preseason against Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is a team rebuilding. Calgary Stampeders certainly aren't.
Yeah, they're pretty well rebuilt.
Yeah.
Are they not? He has a strike far side this time. Maas, and Hervey is forced out inside Stampeder territory. Stampeders have the lead. It's 37-13, and there's 1 quarter to go at McMahon.
The CFL live on TSN at the quarter.
Wow, that was dominating. You know, Calgary Stampeders, a team that have been to the Grey Cup 2 straight years, and they're better on paper and look better on the field right now. That's scary.
They really do. I think the Calgary Stampeders are an awesome football team right now, regardless of who they're going to play in the upcoming weeks. The biggest reason why, 22 starters out of a possible 24 positions. They don't have a learning curve to worry about. All they have to do is execute football plays, and I think this is a great example right there. Dickinson right to Pitts, and he split 3 defenders. That's something you practice, and it's based on pure execution. Right now, they're hot early in the year, as they always are in July, Eric.
Well, George Cortez is an outstanding offensive coordinator, and he has quarterback Dave Dickinson already in mid-season form. They're clicking on all cylinders. You see another big wide receiver stepping forward for Calgary. All they need is another weapon. But you have some problems, I think, in Edmonton, Matt.
Yeah, look, and it's surfacing right now. When Nealon Green went down, magnify the problem. Don Matthews didn't have a lot of confidence in Dan Crowley last year. He wasn't willing to bring the quarterback in and tell him, hey, you're my guy. But what he did do was say, hey, team, we got to make some plays around him. In the first 3 quarters of this ball game, it hasn't happened. The team hasn't made the plays, and it's not all Dan Crowley's fault. There's been a lot of routes that have been broken off, and the timing hasn't been there that we've been seeing from Calgary, Chris. Yep. And what I'm looking at now is a quarterback controversy starting all over. The kid's lost rhythm. He's on the sidelines with a clipboard. Now you got Maas in there. The left tackle misses a block. Maas gets popped in the back, goes in for 6. Now it's a team effort. We're seeing it by Calgary and not by Edmonton.
Yeah, the best quarterback in this game so far, Dave Dickinson. The second best, probably Alan Pitts. Now, one other game in the CFL already done tonight. The Montreal Alouettes win it 38-22, 534 total yards of offense. One bright note for the Bombers, George Jones, 153 yards of rushing.
Heading to the fourth quarter, the numbers after 3 favor the Stampeders in just about every category.
Well, that's the one that you got to look at. 21 points off turnovers, the 6 turnovers. 21 points is the difference in the game. I mean, they have more time of possession, but they keep getting it back after the touchdowns. So, you know, they have struggled, no question. Dan Crowley has had problems throwing the football, but it hasn't always been his fault. Like Matt Dunnigan mentioned, it's been a little bit of pressure up front from Calgary that has also caused some of the problems.
Like that. Oh, and a big hit by Hall on the newcomer at quarterback, Jason Maas. He got it away. It's complete on the near side.
Oh, just like that. Talking about pressure from Calgary. Well, Daryl Hall, in his 7th season, comes in there and just nails Jason Maas as he throws that football. Here it comes.
Welcome to Canadian football.
That welcomes him there. And you know what it says to Jason Maas is it says that if I've got to stand in there and take hits like that to complete a pass, it's going to be a long, long night. And I've only got to play a quarter.
Second and 4 for the Eskimos.
Probably the wisest move after a hit like that from Daryl Hall. Get the ball out of your hands.
I would think.
Yeah, just give it to someone else.
Give it to the bigger guy in the backfield.
Yeah, turn around and say, here, I just had it. I didn't like the way it worked out. You take it. Same kind of night for Dan Crowley all game long. He's had pressure. A lot of it has come from Joe Fleming. Shante Peoples has had a big game. Jeff Garcia mentioned happy feet. Well, you see Fleming 76 bearing down on him, and your feet get happy when you see 76 in your face and you get out of there. And because of that, he hasn't been accurate with the football, and now he's holding the clipboard.
And making notes.
Yeah, you know what he's writing down there? Okay, 76.
Yeah, remember that guy.
Yeah.
That's Fleming.
Red flag word, 76. Joe Fleming.
Shante Peoples statistically has had a better night than Fleming when you look at the numbers he's posted with a couple of sacks and the interception for the touchdown, but Fleming has been a force.
Well, he has been, and what Joe Fleming does is he demands the double team in the middle, and he's been breaking through it. That leaves Shante Peoples one-on-one.
I'm not sure they got it on 3rd and less than a yard to go. It wasn't a classic QB sneak, was it?
Just getting his feet wet. Don Matthews has got to look at these two quarterbacks for the next 4 weeks, probably.
It will be a first down, so this drive will continue for Jason Maas. Nealon Green is on the sidelines.
It'll be interesting to watch the two combination of Joe Fleming and Shante Peoples this year. In that defensive set. They played together on the same side. You see Fleming and Peoples are going to work in different combinations in the pass rush throughout the football season, and well, they're two pretty good ones. Think back to 97, Shante Peoples 15 sacks that year. Winnipeg.
From the shotgun, the Eskimos put it up right on the money as the newcomer at quarterback. Vaughn made the catch. Maas to Vaughn. And we'll see where they spot the ball. It's fairly close to a first down, and if the Eskimos get a favorable spot, they'll move it ahead.
Well, this is a chance for Jason Maas now to go in 5 of 6, 63, and maybe show Don Matthews that he should be starting in the next game.
Well, he might give Dandy Don something to think about when Crowley had so many difficulties in the early going. Got it back on track, but the interceptions kept coming, and Crowley finishes the night with 5. 2nd and 1, and Mills will have the first down.
Maas was a 3rd-round pick in the draft by Cincinnati in the NFL, and then ended up with the Baltimore Ravens last year. Get a lot of playing time, and here he is in Edmonton.
So Maas has the Eskimos moving a little bit, but the Stampeders are likely giving a little ground with a comfortable 37-13 lead. 12:19 to go, 4th quarter. Maas hits another one. Nigel Williams makes the catch near the 15-yard line. Jim Taylor in the Calgary Sun had a great line about Don Matthews today. And I just want to repeat it. In 18 years, Don Matthews has marched through more CFL cities than the Shriners. So here is the question. Quickly name the teams that Don Matthews hasn't been head coach of in Canadian football.
Oh, hasn't? Now you change it up. Okay, let's see. He hasn't been the head coach in Calgary.
There you go.
He hasn't been in Winnipeg,
Montreal, or Hamilton.
Okay,
there you go.
And all the rest he has.
Maas has another first down for the Edmonton Eskimos. Hervey makes the catch. Ed Hervey in his 2nd CFL season with the Eskimos.
But, you know, it looks like he's moving the ball and getting something positive for Edmonton. But you're right, John. I mean, defensively, the Calgary Stampeders are playing off a little bit more.
Just a little bit,
and,
yeah.
And you know what they do, especially in the secondary, is they start to peek back at the quarterback and they think, okay, now's a great chance to sort of get back in that interception race, because Greg Frères right now is leading it. He's got a couple and a touchdown. I got to get in it. So they're all thinking that, getting a little more cushion, a little off the receiver, and looking for that pick.
There's nowhere to go this time as Maas keeps it himself. Biggs was there waiting for him, and I think Peoples was in the neighborhood as well.
You know, game 1 of the regular season is basically your first chance as a head coach to take a look at where your weaknesses are. And I think, you know, one that you can see right now is the quarterback position is going to be one that the Edmonton Eskimos are going to have to hope develops quickly over the next few weeks before Nealon Green gets back in the lineup. Other than that, defensively, they look pretty good. I mean, how did they know Alan Pitcher's going to throw a touchdown? I mean, come on.
No, that was unexpected. 2nd and goal. Maas is on the money. Touchdown for the Eskimos. First touchdown toss for Maas, and guess who gets it? Terry Vaughn.
Well, there's another bright spot. Terry Vaughn picking up right where he did last year. I mean, Terry Vaughn has put together 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons receiving. Of course, he was a member of the Calgary Stampeders a couple years back, and a good throw and good catch. Vaughn comes back, fights off the coverage by Eddie Davis, and keeps himself in the end zone. 5 straight years over 1,000 yards. Terry Vaughn is just Mr. Consistency, Canadian Football League.
6 catches, 70 yards, and that touchdown for Terry Vaughn. He is the Eskimos' leading receiver. Jason Maas celebrates his first CFL touchdown toss. This is where the CFL season begins in 2000 and where it will end. Here's Sherry Hargrave.
Thanks, guys. With me right now is Norman Leach, the president of Grey Cup 2000, held right here in Calgary. It's only the first game of the season, but seeing this crowd, you must be excited about that game.
Look at this crowd of 35,000 plus, add another 10,000 and you have Grey Cup.
How are ticket sales going?
We're over 55% sold out, 25,000 tickets gone already, and this is the first game of the season. So anybody in Canada wants their tickets, get them fast.
Tell me, just how bad do you want the red and white to be out on that field come November 26th?
I'm the president of Grey Cup. I'll be happy as long as the best team in the East and the best team in the West are here. If there's a little red and white mixed in, all the better.
Very safe answer. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Well, I think early it's safe to say that the Calgary Stampeders are one of the best.
Are in the running.
Are in the running. Are one of the best.
Listen, there's still a bitter memory in the minds of many Stampeder fans and players about the '93 Grey Cup that the Eskimos were in and won here at McMahon Stadium. The last time Calgary hosted the game, and the Eskimos won the Western Final, moved right into the Stampeder dressing room, and then won the Grey Cup. Stampeders were not happy about that turn of events.
Well, you got to think, too, it's difficult when you know that the Grey Cup is being played in your park. I mean, you got to give credit to these players throughout the year, and we'll see how it develops. But Wally Buono's got to make sure that they don't put too high of expectations on themselves. They don't get too beyond what their capabilities are, because you just want to make sure you do your job and win the games you have to get in those playoffs, and then you take one step at a time. But if you start believing that you're in there in game one,
no, absolutely not. Wally is not going to be counting down to a Grey Cup berth. I can guarantee you that. Pitts was the intended target.
Well, yeah,
Dickinson missed by a bunch.
You look through the league, and of course we'll have the Adidas Friday Night Football. First edition will be BC Lions versus Hamilton, and the Lions look like they put together a very good football team and good offensive and defensive lines in BC, and we'll see how Calgary Stampeders will handle them. That was a rivalry last year that really developed.
Yeah, that was a terrific rivalry, and the Lions came decently close, did they not? If memory serves me correctly.
A fumble away with about a minute to go.
Yeah. Martino's kick. Mobley for about 4 on the return. Stampeders off to a great start in 2000 with a 37-21 lead on the Eskimos. Jeff Garcia joined us a few moments ago live here at McMahon Stadium. This year he gets to replace a legend in San Francisco. 49ers quarterback Steve Young has retired, and he's done that before when he replaced a legend here in Calgary.
In a sense, I was almost trained for that situation by what I experienced here in Calgary, by being able to take over for a CFL Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever play the game up here, and Doug Flutie, and being able to learn from him and kind of take that into my own game and do positive things on the field.
Vaughn makes the catch, but he's well short of a first down. In fact, lost yards. Football this week starring Glenn Suter, Chris Schultz. You'll have the Golden Boy on the show next weekend.
Really enjoyed it. Had a nice long interview with Jeff Garcia. It'll be a 2-part thing. We'll see the first one this Sunday, and encourage everyone to watch it. Great little sit-down interview with Jeff Garcia. Talks about San Francisco and his days with the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, we've enjoyed his company a little bit while we've been in Calgary. We were out for dinner with the entire Garcia family last night. Well, they were a couple of tables over. Mom and Dad love this city. Jeff was talking a little bit last night about some of his old pals from back home who came up to watch him when he was with the Stampeders. They come up to Calgary and have a good time at things like the Stampede. Even with Garcia back in San Francisco.
Yeah, they say the buddies come up and watch the Stamps play.
Hey, by the way, we're missing another Calgary Stampede. This will be about 25 in a row that I've missed, and I always seem to get to Calgary the week before or the week after the Stampede. That's because if CFL doesn't go against the Stampede in this town.
Stampede starts tomorrow. The parade's on Friday.
Yep.
They don't want to have a game in McMahon. In fact, McMahon Stadium is being used for the Calgary Stampede, so Stamps have to go on the road.
Second down. And the Eskimo receivers are not paying much attention tonight. That was Ed Hervey. I don't know that he made a real good, I should say, Kez McCorvey, number 85. I don't know that he really moved on that football.
Well, he struggled a little bit in this game. Of course, it's his first game in the Canadian Football League, so I guess you can give him the benefit of the doubt. He's 3 years in Detroit, though. It's not like he's new to professional football, so there's a couple of times that he just hasn't finished off the pattern.
That's basically the point. Coleman and Travis Moore. Deep for this Eskimo kick from Sean Fleming. High. I don't think Coleman saw that sail over his head.
Back up! Keep it on! Back up!
Marvin Coleman take a little time off the clock. Now 7:18 to play, fourth quarter. Stampeders look to be home and cooled out in their season opener against the Eskimos. Quarterback Jeff Garcia, part of football this week, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, with Glenn Suter and Chris Schultz. And this is the Football Network as we look ahead to Week 1 in the CFL. Argos Rough Riders, Taylor Field, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Dave Randorf and Matt Dunnigan will be there for that one. And then we'll move on for Adidas Friday Night Football, Edition 1 of Season 2000. The BC Lions and the Tiger Cats on Friday night at Ivor Wade. Calvin Anderson. Nice hold, nice run for Anderson. He's inside the 50. Boy, this Calgary team has a lot of weapons. We've talked about the All-Stars and Moore and Pitts as receivers. Kelvin Anderson, an All-Star running back.
And let's not forget the All-Stars that seem to be playing pretty well up front in Game 1. Talking about Thomas Raham, Fred Childress, Jamie Crysdale, Jay McNeil, and Rocco Romano. Those 5 offensive linemen up there that opened a pretty nice hole for Kelvin Anderson and have really kept the pass rush off of Jeff Garcia all night long.
Anderson, 63 yards thus far. 6:23 to go. He gets the call again. Kelvin Anderson is wrapped up.
You know, just thinking, John, about that game tomorrow night, Toronto and Saskatchewan Roughriders, you got to think there's going to be a lot of viewers just watching to see what kind of teams those two teams will be this year. It's been an interesting offseason in Toronto, and I think there's a lot of people judging the Argos before Game 1 has even been kicked off. But it'll be interesting to see how they do against Saskatchewan, Danny Barrett, and a guy that used to be here, Roy Shivers.
In a rebuilding year in Saskatchewan as well, so rather critical game for both sides tomorrow night at Taylor Field. Second down, Dickinson unloads. Andre Arlane.
Which is really the beauty of it when you say a critical game. It is the beauty of it, and that's the beauty of football. 18 games, every game very important. It's not like 160 games and all that stuff.
John Heward makes his John Heward makes his CFL debut as a head coach tomorrow night. He played with Wally Buono back in the Alouette days, and Wally told us a story yesterday about John Heward as the hot dog king of Montreal back in those days in the 70s.
That's right.
This is from Wally, John, so don't get angry at us. He said he saw you stand on a street corner, eat 6 of those Montreal steamers in a row, and then order 6 more. So, Mr. Heward, you can confirm or deny that. That's what Wally told us yesterday.
And he also said that he's a good football man, and he's taken a lot of criticism without even running a snap yet for the Argos, but Wally said he was a good football man and a good hot dog eater.
Timeout at McMahon. We'll be right back.
Sorry. Look, it was my fault.
No, my fault.
I apologize.
Let me put your mouth guard down. I'm sorry. It's my bad. I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
They always this play.
Uh-huh.
Now that's just weird.
Need a bad day?
Back for the Eskimo first down, and it's a strike to Terry Vaughn one more time. The backup to the backup, Jason Maas, has played reasonably well in spite of the fact that his Eskimos are well out of this, but he's completed some passes and he's moved the football team.
Well, he and Dan Crowley are going to have to play better come the next couple of weeks. Nealon Green, we've talked about it, is out. These are the guys that are going to have to try and get some wins. Not going to be easy for Edmonton to do that either.
13-yard gain, another Eskimo first down. Now out at the 28. On the money again. So Maas has moved the Eskimos as he connects with Ed Hervey that time, number 81.
Well, you just think about the way Don Matthews is going to start the season. He comes right here in Calgary, goes to Hamilton Grey Cup Championship team. So you got to put one here. That's L #1 for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Game 2 is not a piece of cake.
We're not going to put an L.
No, I know. We're not going to do that. But, I mean, it's not a piece of cake. Winnipeg put 22 points on the board against the Alouettes tonight. The Lions look like they'll be tough to beat. And then the Tiger Cats again. And the Alouettes aren't a bad football team.
And then consider this. Nealon Green probably not available for any of those games.
Well, at least
maybe the bottom one.
Maybe the bottom one. Maybe no. So anyway, this is a tough schedule for the Eskimos. It really is. First down. 3:53 to go. Final quarter. Opening night at McMahon. Another strike from Jason Maas.
A little misleading for Jason Maas when you take a look at the numbers that he's put up here tonight. 12 of 14 is pretty nice.
Absolutely.
But we mentioned it earlier, the Calgary Stampeders playing off a little bit. But what you got to be impressed with is he's come in and he's put the ball on the money. I mean, the guys are open, but he's completed the passes. Adam Reed told me one time he's seen offenses sometime in practice that can't put together 9 out of 10 passes against air. I mean, they just can't complete a pass against air. Dan Crowley, he was having trouble.
5 interceptions. Eskimo receiver went down and a flag justifiably follows.
Well, I believe it was Kes McCorvey that went down. Yeah, it was. And he got tripped up. It was incidental contact downfield, but nevertheless, he did go down.
Forward pass interference, Calgary 44. First down.
Marcus Bradley, the newcomer.
Now, are these Stampeder fans intense or what? I mean, the lead is 37-22 at this point.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't give the Eskimos a break. It was the last football team on earth.
No, they love every minute of this, and they'll savor it.
So they hated that call against number 44. Long toss. And a little too far for the intended target that time, Nigel Williams.
Well, Nigel Williams, I think that's the first time we've even mentioned Nigel Williams' name.
Williams joins the Eskimos, his 5th CFL team in 6 years. It's a punch by the Jasons. The intended target, again, was Terry Vaughn. Eskimos seem to be thinking that they really had to get a receiving core that could take some of the heat off Terry Vaughn, and the quarterbacks tonight have really had to go to their go-to guys, so-called, most of the way. And I don't know if that's a confidence thing.
Well, I think there's 2 things that have happened to them tonight. First of all, it's hard to judge the receiving core right now. I think there was times all night long that they were open, and Dan Crowley didn't get him the football.
Okay.
But in Dan Crowley, in fairness to him, he had a lot of heat on him from guys like Joe Fleming and Shante People. So some things to shore up on the offensive line and the play calling to just give the quarterbacks a little bit of help. And then you got to wait a little bit of time before you judge the receiving core, because I think really there was times when they were open. I think back to a corner pattern where Nigel Williams had separated by about 10 yards and Crowley threw it into the stands.
And likely nothing wrong with the Eskimos' running game when Troy Mills is in the backfield and healthy. This year he's got Sean Daniels to block for him, and Don Matthews thinks he's the best blocking fullback he's ever coached. But when you get behind early, you can't go to the running game as easily.
Edmonton number 60, still 3rd down.
No, you can't. And the other positive thing you think about the Edmonton Eskimos is that their offensive line has had their hands full tonight. And Joe Fleming's had a good game, but you look up there, that's a veteran group. And Leo Groenwag, the center, leads the way, and you mentioned 235 consecutive games. They're going to get it straight up front. You can guarantee that. And just need a little more help from the quarterback position, and it should fall into place a little bit better for Edmonton.
Jason Maas goes deep, and it's almost intercepted. That might have been 3 for Greg Freres, the Simon Fraser graduate, who has picked up 2 already, and tempers flare down at the line of scrimmage.
This is for the next time they meet.
Yeah, tough night. This is only the first of 4 meetings between these 2 teams. I said at the beginning, this is the most intense rivalry in Canadian sport. There's not much love lost between these 2 teams, making it an understatement. Well, it is war. It is called a battle. It is a rivalry. Yeah. It is intense every time they meet.
Well, Tim Princeton was in on that. Grant Carter was in on that. Fleming was in I mean, these guys, you talk about Fleming and Carter, they don't know the rivalry all that much.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton 62. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton 53.
That's Tim Princeton.
It's after the play, it's the first down.
Tim Princeton doesn't know the rivalry. He was in Hamilton last year. So
Yeah.
he learned it in 3 quarters, 4 quarters of football. He learned how much they hate each other.
No. My young man, he learned it a long time ago. He is an Edmonton native. And he's come home to play as a free agent for his hometown heroes.
You're right, and he's very happy to be back home.
Don Matthews said it was one of the easiest signings ever because Princeton said he wanted to go back to Edmonton. So there goes the negotiating power right there. Right?
Yeah.
He's won his Grey Cup with the Tiger Cats.
That's right.
He wants to go back home to Edmonton and get involved in the family business. So Matthews could say, well, give you $12,000 a year. Well, that might be an exaggeration.
Well, Calgary just got basically a whole bunch of real estate handed right to him thanks to Tim Princeton and Bruce Beaton.
Dickinson remains in. Kelvin Anderson does too and takes this one out of bounds with 2:21 to go. Dickinson had a slow start, but then he caught fire, and so did the Stampeders. 21 points off 6 interceptions, part of the story.
Well, you know, Alan Pitts, I think he's the one who really kick-started the offense with a perfect pass to Dickinson. That's not a typo.
No,
he actually threw the football.
His first touchdown toss in 11 years in the league. Troy Mills, 97 yards, closing in on 100. Shade Peoples has been a big part of the Calgary Stampeders' success as well. A couple of sacks early. Dickinson, touchdown toss. There's more. He's got it! Travis Moore, 23 yards, actually caught it twice.
He looks at Torrey Hunter and just, you almost apologize there, I think. He kind of looks and said, sorry, man, I know we're up. And, you know, I'm just lying on my back. The ball falls right in my stomach. I don't know. He caught it twice. You're right. Torrey Hunter had pretty good coverage, all-around good football play with Travis Moore going to the end zone. Dickinson just puts some air on it and hopes his receiver wins the battle. But watch the coverage. Hunter's right there. Gets his arm in there, knocks the ball out. It bounces around. Look at Travis Moore on his back. Says, thank you very much.
And one-handed it, too, on top of that.
Dickinson says, all right, that's good for the stats.
He's got a hot hand right now.
It's kind of insult to injury when you think of Calgary, but they play each other 4 times. And if it ever came down to points at the end of the year, every point matters. So, you know they won't stop.
Old Blue, the Stampeder victory horse, is a tired little pony tonight.
Now that's acceleration. Look at that through the hole. That horse can motor.
Travis Moore, touchdown reception here tonight. That'll make up for one he dropped a little bit earlier, and I'm sure bothered him a little bit, but nice 23-yard catch there, and he's made a couple of others along the way as well.
You think about Travis Moore last year, I mentioned his 1,000-yard year, the first time he's ever accomplished that. Think back to the Grey Cup last year. Travis Moore made a lot of big plays in the loss to the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Grey Cup 99 in BC Place, and had close to 100 yards. I believe it was 99 yards in receptions in a losing effort. So it looks like Travis Moore has emerged as a premier receiver in this league.
Yeah, I think he has. 99 All-Star. And the turnovers have really haunted the Eskimos. 28 Calgary points as a result. And still 2 minutes, 14 seconds to go. Final quarter at McMahon. Calgary's kickoff. Coming down to Donnie Ashley. Stampeders have covered kicks and punts well tonight.
Hey, speaking of the Hamilton Tiger Cats in last year's Grey Cup, how about Adidas Friday Night Football matchup? BC Lions.
Damon Allen at quarterback.
They're going to be in Hamilton for Adidas Friday Night Football. We'll be there. I'm looking forward to this matchup. This is going to be a good game and a good test for the Lions because basically the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Danny McManus are back together, the same team that won it. I mean, all but maybe the middle linebacker, and oh, by the way, they got Michael O'Shea to fill that spot.
Adidas Friday Night Football will kick it off for you. Iverwind Stadium in Hamilton. Look forward to seeing the Tiger Cats tomorrow.
Tiger Cats just recently presented with their Grey Cup rings at a big function in Hamilton, and
guess what I heard in Calgary?
What'd you hear?
That the Grey Cup rings the Tiger Cats have are a little nicer than the ones the Calgary Stampeders got in '98. And that was from a Stampeder fan who said, oh, I saw the rings in the Tiger Cat. That's version of '99 Grey Cup championship. It might just be a little nicer than the Calgary rings of '98.
This not too many competitive people in this game,
no,
is there?
Hardly any at all.
They're competing over the design of the ring.
There you go. Second down. Jason Maas has another completion. Ricky Walters in the fray now for the Eskimos. 1:39 to go, final quarter.
Well, I mean, you got to wonder right now in Don Matthews' mind, is Jason Maas your starting quarterback for week 2? You don't want to injure Dan Crowley's confidence too much, but you almost got to think that even against a softer Calgary defense, he's really put some drives together and completed some passes. So Don Matthews is going to have a tough decision. Remember, Crowley last year got in a bit of this mix at the quarterback spot when Edmonton lost 3 quarterbacks in Crandall, Nealon Green. They brought in Kevin Mason and put him ahead of Crowley, who had been there all year.
The gamble does not pay off on 3rd and 4 for the Eskimos. It'll go down as another turnover, this time on downs. A long night for Don Matthews.
You know, the thing is, and it's, you may wonder why I would say this at this point in this game with the score 44-22, but Don Matthews will find a way to get this team on track.
Well, he made major changes last year and had the worst year in his coaching career. The Eskimos were 6-12 as Matthews tried to fashion the Eskimos in the mold of his football team. Troy Kopp will get a chance here for the Calgary Stampeders for the final minute 16, and so will Rock Preston, who breaks one. Preston in the backfield, and number 14 has a nice little game there.
Troy Kopp is an interesting story. Wally Buono brought him in. Of course, he was in Winnipeg last year and really struggled, but who didn't in Winnipeg last year? And brought him in and said to him, listen, you got a clean slate in Calgary. Come to training camp day 1 and prove to me that you can earn a spot. Remember, O.T. Sampson, who's been in the organization for a while, was the number 2 quarterback at the start of camp. Kopp won out the job and is now the number 2. So Kopp showed Wally Buono a few things and said that, you know, I can be the number 2 guy to Dickinson.
Yeah, and Wally really thinks he's a better passer, and that's the reason he's in this spot right now. An example there, but it's picked off in the end zone. Eskimos take one back. This is Chris Hardy, and he's decked out at the 20-yard line. Pass wasn't that far off the money there, but Hardy comes up with the interception.
Well, he's been over on the sideline, hasn't thrown a ball all game, and that one just got away on him. But my count right now is safeties 4 interceptions tonight.
It's a big night for your guys. Listen, the play of the game tonight, we have to go back to Dave Dickinson getting together with Alan Pitts. But it's the most unusual reversal of form.
Well, you know the thing about this play, and we've seen it, it's the Alan Pitts throw down the sideline to Dickinson. And the thing it's going to do, too, is that every team in the league from now on for 18 weeks are going to have to game plan.
Yeah, Pitts put a little smoke on that one, too. It was a pretty nice pass. So we choose Dave Dickinson as our Adidas player of the game. 3 passing touchdowns and 1 on the receiving end as well. Here's a wide-open Eskimo receiver, and it's Troy Mills with time all but ticked off the clock for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, Dave Dickinson just basically comes in and says, yeah, I'm ready. I'm in midseason form. I'm ready to go, and really put it together in the second half. 15 of 25. He's got the 3 touchdowns.
Was it my imagination, or did he start slowly in the opening quarter?
Absolutely.
I mean, there was a defensive touchdown that gave the Stampeders the lead. And the offense wasn't churning out a whole bunch of first downs or yards at that time. But Dickinson did turn it around, and once he did...
Well, we talked about it. I mean, I think when Alan Pitts got involved, both catching the ball and throwing it, it all of a sudden turned around the Calgary offense, and they got on track, and, you know, he is one of the keys.
Dickinson started 3 of 7, so it's not all imagination. He was intercepted once there. You just saw Nigel Williams, or rather Ed Hervey, drop a pass.
Second down, Eskimos, second and 10 at midfield.
28 seconds to go. The Eskimos' season debut will not be a night to remember. Reception at the 35 as the Stampeders back off. Hall made the tackle on Troy Mills. Sports Desk, the next edition. Rod Smith, David Pratt, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific time. All the highlights of a night in sports. A couple of CFL games. Alouettes win, Stampeders win. Jays have a tough night in Cleveland against the Indians. Eskimos would like to get out of town, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they want to get on Highway 2 and get out of here. But I'll tell you what, Calgary Stampeders are going to enjoy what they see in the game films, and not only offensively, we talked about Pitts and Dickinson, but also defensively. I think up front they've improved dramatically with Joe Fleming and Shante Peoples.
Edmonton 62, penalties declined, the clock will run.
And I think that Wally Buono right now defensively has finally got a dominant pass rusher. He's had a consistent defensive line in the past, but he hasn't had a dominant pass rusher, and I think he's got 2 of them now with Peoples and Fleming.
A one-hopper with 4 seconds to go. Joe Fleming, a free agent, very intense individual coming over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I would have thought he might have been the best acquisition that the Stampeders made this year, and that may well be true, but Shante Peoples had a pretty nice night in a Stampeder uniform for the first time with a couple of quarterback sacks and an interception for a touchdown.
Yeah, well, they work together, and when Joe Fleming is doing what he's doing in the middle, the outside guys get a little more freedom, and Shante Peoples took advantage when he had the opportunities.
Into the end zone, and not quite. That should about do it with no flags on the field. The intended target was Kez McCorvey. And the Edmonton Eskimos come up well short in their season debut against the Stampeders at McMahon in Calgary. Don Matthews starts 0-1. Wally Buono starts well again. 1-0. Stampeders go to the top. Eskimos are sitting at the bottom of the standings as it stands right now in the Western Division. Tough night for Matthews. Big night for the Calgary Stampeders. Saw a couple of celebrations like Dave Dickinson getting to spike the ball in his first touchdown reception, and Alan Pitts completing his first touchdown toss. Happy times for the Stampeders in Calgary tonight.